Welcome to this morning talk show. This is a coaching program for you. Thank you for joining me this morning. Thank you for joining Breakthrough with Jeff. This is really about getting that spark, that encouragement, that push towards your dream, because that's all what we need, all of us. I tell people personally, I'm a coach, but I have a coach. I have someone that helps me to dig deeper than my own mind has shown me, because that's really what we do as human beings. We limit ourselves with our experiences and with trusting our minds, because most of the time, like Jim Rohn said, do not trust your own mind that much. You need reflection. You need a mirror. And humility really is what gives us that opportunity to grow, to contribute, to make this world a better place. That's why we are here, to make this world a better place. So today, we are talking about your story that has contributed or created the person that you now call yourself. We are a culmination of stories about ourselves. And if there's any area of your life right now that is not working, I want you to know that it is because there's a story you're telling yourself about that area. And if there's any area of your life right now that is working well, that you feel you're doing so well, you're so fulfilled, you're so happy, majorly is because there's a focus, there's a story you're telling yourself. And thank God that God created us as, creators of our destiny. Otherwise, God would be unfair if, it gave some people some special abilities than others. Every challenge that life places upon your path is because God knows you're able to handle it. And it's because you have what it takes to reach your destiny in spite of the challenges on your way. Right now, going through the challenge of the COVID-19, there are so many stories that are going on in people's minds. And the story that you allow in your mind either empower you or disempower you. And this is what we don't know about the power of the stories in our heads, is that they are pushing us forward in our projects, in our life, in our relationships, in all these areas of life that we call our life. We are either being propelled towards our destiny or pulled back to where we began, to where we are coming from, by our own stories. And that is what really ties us to a life that we don't wish to live, to a life that we don't wish to live. Our stories is really what ties us from pursuing our destiny. And so I just, as I dive deeper, I just want to make sure you can hear me. Please, if you can hear me, could you be kind enough to just type there, I can hear you, so I can proceed with this conversation. This is a conversation you don't want to miss. So if you're online, kindly let me know if you can hear me. You're on Facebook, you're on YouTube live. Kindly let me know, can you hear me? If you can hear me, let me know so I can proceed with this conversation. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm using my earphones. Sometimes interferences of these machines that you're using. So if you can hear me, let me know you can hear me, and you're here. You're here with me. Karibu sana. Unless you type, I won't be able to see who is online. So kindly let me know. Let me know if you can hear me, and then we will begin. And so I pray that you're really enjoying your life, and you're in the place where God has blessed you. You've working well, you're breathing. That's something, for you to be grateful for. But I want you to know that your story is what is impacting your destiny. The story you're telling yourself is not about other people. What people say, what people want to say about you, what people tell you, what people think about you really has no substance. Is has nothing to do with your destiny. But what you believe about yourself, what I'm calling your story, what you tell yourself, that inner conversation, that is the creative power of the universe. That is what God is using to create your destiny. That is what the universe is speaking. It's speaking your story. Heaven pick your story, what you believe about yourself, and then empower you to create it. You see, you're so powerful. You've been, I want you to realize that God created you so powerful. Look, the person you've created right now, the person you are today is a result of your story. The story you believe about yourself will create the person that you see right now, whether you like that person or not. So if you want to change the person, you have to change the story. You want to change the story of your life. And you know that there are so many people that have come across who've changed their stories dramatically. You look at this person and you cannot believe it's the same person, because they are living a totally different story. Have you ever met someone and you cannot believe you're talking about the same person? They have changed. You cannot believe it's the same person. 2 years and the person has changed. 1 year, some people is just 6 months. Let me tell you, your story can change in one day. Your story, in fact, change happens in a moment like this. Just like this, people make a decision and say, I'll never be the same again. I'll never be that kind of a person. Or this is the kind of person I want to be beginning this moment right here. They make that decision, and immediately the story begins to change. Your story is in your hands. Your destiny is in your hands. Your destiny, God placed it in your hands. It is in your hands to become great. It is in your hands to influence your generation. It is in your hands to change the direction of your family's story. Someone told me, I come from a poor family. See, that is the story. It doesn't have to be your story. If you come from a poor family, then let a rich family come out of you, because you shifted that story. And it's not in the power of other people. It's in your power, it's in these palms, it's in your hands to change your story. See, some people tell me, Jeff, I'm coming from, this is where I come from, a ghetto. That's your former story. It doesn't have to be your current story unless that's what you want, unless that's what you're choosing consciously. But you see, whether you don't choose or not, you're making a choice. You're making a choice consciously or unconsciously. Listen to me. Research shows us that every single day, there are 75,000 stories that cross across the human mind. Every single day. 75,000. I mean, do your research. Now, that means that every hour, there are about 3,000 stories that cross through your brain. And 90% of them are negative. 90% of them are saying, I'm the worst person. Are self-judging, redundant stories. They are stories that push us down. I don't know why we do this to ourselves as human beings. I'm yet to discover that. Why? Why do we do this? How come it's easier to tell a negative story about myself? How come it's easier to believe your story of me than it is to believe my own story about myself? And I've coached thousands of people. Human beings are just the same. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter whether you were born in State House or you were born in the ghetto. We are the same. We reason the same way unless we intentionally change our story. The story that you are special is just your ego story to make you feel good about yourself. We are all human beings with the same needs, and we are all human beings with the same capacity to change our story. And time, there's no time for me to tell you how many inspiring stories I have read, heard, and even met people in person that have moved their story from here to here. I mean, different life. They are living a different life because they made a decision. I'm not going to die here. This will not continue to be my story. And you see, we are driven more, like I was saying, by the story of other people, by other people's stories of us. We are more impacted by other people's story of us than by our own story. And most of us now in the age of social media, we are in the, business of telling other people's stories than we are in believing our own story. Now, if you're listening to me, I want you to know God created you as a master of your destiny. You're the captain of your ship. Time is in the past, or time is gone, where there's that space to blame people for your own life. This is your life. This is your life. Whatever you make it, it's up to you. If it's going to be, it's up to you. I don't want you to limit yourself, because I walk this journey. That's why I got a coach, because I realize I have these limiting stories about myself. In fact, people would tell me, man, you inspire me. But I wasn't even inspiring to myself. I didn't have the guts to say, yeah, I like listening to myself, my own story. If you don't believe in your story, no one else will believe in your story. You have to believe in your story. But then before we go there, what's your story? What is your story? What is the story that you're proud of putting out there? What is the story? Because the first thing is to create that story. And then divorce the old story, because some of us are so married to our old story. And most of these stories were placed on us by people who hated us. Most of these stories that we are living today, they were placed upon our soul, our destiny, our mind, our faces by people who didn't like us. Let me tell you, you're not alone. We all walk this journey. We all go through the path of haters. We all go through the path of people who don't like us that much. And they tell stories of what they think about us and what is possible for us. Don't buy that story. But then, if you don't have your own story, what else do you have to do? You just buy someone else's story. Jim Rohn, one of my mentors, in fact, he passed on my birthday. Very interesting. On my birthday, that's when he died. I don't know, some of these things, the way they happen, you fall someone, he becomes your mentor, and he dies on your birthday. This is what he said. He said that If you don't have your own story, you're going to live someone else's story about you. You're going to live someone else's mission if you don't have your own mission. And you know, what mission do they have for you? What story do they have for you? Not so good. Not so good. And so I began to create my own story of my relationships, the kind of family that I want to have, the kind of places I want to live, the kind of mission. And I wrote it down. I wrote my story down. Let me tell you, if your story is that important, then you need to write it down. Write your story down. This is a gift. The time of COVID is a gift for you to retrieve back and re-strategize and come out a mighty warrior that is going to really live a life of destiny. Don't just get into stories we hear in the media. Don't listen to other people's stories. Those are people making their stories real. Don't just listen to them. If you listen to them and then retrieve. After you listen to me, retrieve back, go to your closet and close that door and ask yourself, what's my story? What is the story that I'm willing to create, that I'll be proud of my life? That this is the life I've lived. And if in your thoughts, you're getting thoughts of judgment, know that that's human, but don't dwell there, don't live there. Because if you believe that story, that will be your destiny. That will be your story. And the story you believe will color all the other areas of your life. And all other areas of your life, I mean your finances. Your money status is just a story. Let me repeat that because there's someone who needs to hear this. Your money status is just a story. It's nothing but a reflection of what you believe. The story you've consciously or unconsciously created. Maybe is your teacher's story you believe, or your mother's, your parents' story that you believe, that are reflected in this story of money. The place you're living is just a story. The friends you have today is a story you created, is a collection. You see, a story is a collection of beliefs. A belief is a feeling of certainty of what you really know. This is it. I know this is what I believe. This is what I feel. And so your relationships, the people, if you don't like the people around you, you created that story yourself and then attracted those people around you. Another area is the area of your spirituality. The way you relate with your creator, the way you relate to yourself, the way you contribute to the world, it's a story you're telling yourself. Whether you value that or not, whether you think that's valuable or not, it's a story. It's a story you're telling yourself. And unless you change that story, nothing is going to change. This is not just about motivation. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a life coach. A motivational speaker is the one who tells you, oh no, take you to the garden. Like Tony Robbins says, a motivational speaker will take you to your garden and tell you, there's no weeds, you're okay, it's gonna be okay. A life coach will tell you, no, there are so many weeds, but we have what it takes to pull them out. We are going to take time. It will take about 2 weeks to pull this. If we are committed, we are going to make it. And so this is not just about motivating you and feeling good about yourself. This is about reality. This is about getting yourself to that real story. And the real story was placed there by your creator. I'm not the one creating that story for you. It's you to access it and to begin to know you're not just a villager. You're not just a village boy. There's a time I used to see myself that way, interacting with people that were born tired. I used to listen to their story. I'm like, oh my God, all these guys, what are they? And then I'll look at my story. My goodness, I'm even learning how to speak English. And I was about to believe the story that they are special, that they are more special than me. Hey, your story is your own decision, what you create. Thank God. God gives us that is a plain, page that nothing is written on it. What are you going to write? You have the pen in your life. The fact that you're alive today is your ink on that plain page. What are you going to write? What are you writing? Don't just say, no, for me, I'm afraid I don't want to write anything. You're already writing the story of fear. And it's going to reflect in all these areas of your life, in the family you create, in the kind of relationships you create. Look at the people you are hooked up, to. Look at the environment. Look at the finances that come to your life. It's not a mistake. It's a reflection of your story. Your life is a reflection of your story. Take a deep breath. Begin afresh. As you begin that next breath, make a decision. Decision is just cutting off every other story. Divorce every other story. Divorce the negative stories about your life, about what is possible for you. And begin there. Begin with that breath. And say, beginning this day, my story is changing. Beginning right now, this moment, you just make that confession. Beginning this moment, right now, my story is changing. My story is changing. Your brain will try, because your brain is created to make you safe. Your brain is created to keep you in your comfort zone. Your brain is not created to make you happy and fulfilled. And so don't follow your brain, don't follow your head. Your head can only lead you to fear. Because the mind is created, the brain is created to make you safe. And so if you're going to hide, if you're going to run to safety right now, you're not going to invest. My partner is an investor, my wife. She helps people invest. Last year alone, last month, when everyone was withdrawing their money and people were running away because this is not working, there are clients of hers that got 28% growth in their investment. I'm telling you, there are warriors out there. Don't just listen to the story in the media and say everyone is like that. No, everyone is not like that. I know someone who made 19%, 20%, all the way to 28%. This season, when you're saying there's no money, that's a story. When you're saying we are finished, that's a story. When you're saying you're going to die, it's a story. Are you going to believe that story? Or are you going to pick a new story? Because story is about the beliefs that you have about what's possible for you. And that can change right now. It can change right now. I know maybe you've lived your story so long, you think I'm a crazy guy. Your story, you don't believe your story can change. You bought your story so much. You bought into your story so much, you don't believe it can change. Or maybe you bought into other people's stories. Don't buy to anyone's story of yourself. Don't let people define you. Les Brown, another mentor of mine, he says, do not let other people's belief of what you're capable of become your reality. Do not let what other people believe of you become your reality. Don't care about what other people believe of you. But then, do you care what you believe about yourself? Do you care about that? Because if you do, then it's going to show in your actions. It's going to show in what you do this time of staying at home. excuse me, is going to show in your thoughts at this moment. Are you thinking that you're finished? Are you thinking that your business is done? If it's going to die, let it die. Whatever needs to die, let it die. But your story will die when you allow it to die. You're the only person who can kill your story. You're the only person who can kill your story. I pray that this moment, this will be a beginning, a trigger, that our conversation at this platform, Breakthrough with Jeff, will be a trigger for you to shift your story. And so I wish you a blessed day. See you tomorrow, same time. Share this with your friends. Help them to shift their own story. God bless.